Good day, Coach. Good day. You look beautiful, by the way. I think we started our conversation a little bit offline, but I think I must say you look gorgeous. You are glowing. That color on you is beautiful. It's almost like it touches your cheeks so nicely. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm great. I'm super. It's Wednesday. I had a live earlier, so I'm just continuing talking to the world. So it has been an awesome day.
I love that. I love that. So how I usually greet my people is I would say, hello, 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 beautiful people. And the people would say, hello. And the people would say, hello. So tonight's conversation is extra special. In our conversation today, we've got a special guest. And in October is a special month. And it's special because not only are we getting ready to end the year strong, but it's because we have guests, and our guests are not only here to elevate our thinking and parenting, but they're also here to transform us. And so October is a month, is a quarter where, you know, there are a lot of expectations, and there will be a lot of expectations upon ourselves as parents in terms of our work and our career. But we also have a lot of expectations when it comes to our children. We're going to be expecting our children to be performing, to produce the best results there is out there. But the question is, how will they be able to do that if they don't have the proper support? And so luckily, because we've got a guest tonight, we are going to be able to unpack and find tools from her to help us unpack and get to understand the importance of parental involvement in children's education and overall development, right? So that's me introducing what we will be focusing on in terms of October, which is the importance of children's education, the importance of parental involvement in children's education and overall development. And our coach is a transformational coach, but I'll leave the rest to her in terms of her just telling us a bit about herself and what it is that she does, and we'll get the conversation started. I hand over to you, Coach.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of this project and being part of October and the last quarter of the year. And I just learned even myself with what I did earlier, which is all about launching and making sure the year ends on a bang. And this is a great opportunity for us to do that. And who am I? I'm a transformation life coach. I'm also a negative emotions practitioner. So I provide therapies in terms of your negative emotions. And I'm also an entrepreneur and a metallurgical engineer. So I don't practice engineering anymore as of the 1st, January this year. So I run my business full time. And I'm also an energy healer. So I help people manage their energy. As much as we heal the mind with the work that I do, we also need to balance our energies as well, because we are not an island, we're spiritual beings, because we are mind, body, and spirit. And besides that, I'm a busy bee. I'm always working. So even my family says the only time they see me resting is when I am asleep. Because even when I'm sitting, there's always ideas. It's just that keeping them and say, okay, this one I can do now. But I love transforming lives. I'm also a credit repair coach. So it's not a debt counselor. I'm not a debt counselor. So I help you understand your financial traumas, and then I help you to fix your credit and come up with a budget plan, which will help you to be out of the mess that you're in so that you can achieve financial freedom and peace. And when you set that foundation, because that's what we're talking about, kids is very important, because whatever you're doing at the moment, in terms of your finances, the kids are going to inherit it. As much as you don't verbalize it, they see what you do and the cycle is going to change. So just ask yourself in everything, even how you relate to everyone, how you communicate to everyone, are you going to repeat the cycle? Your kids going to repeat the cycle, because we go through so much. And the first 7 years of a child, they're very critical. If you've got kids who are less than 7 years, you can still change their lives, because what has been implanted since when they were conceived until they were 7 years, something, it becomes challenges that they start dealing with when they become teenagers, when they start work. Because when you're a child, you're just always just looking at the results. But when you start working, you need to think about taking care of yourself, managing this, managing that. So that is why you have to start having conversations with your kids as well. So even if you're not having the conversations, you're making a decision and you're teaching them just to look at their problems and just ignore them. And what will be the detriment when you're a granny? You're gonna have to parent them, and that is a time that you're supposed to be enjoying being a granny or being your retirement, and now you have to parent, and it's not an easy thing, and that is what we're seeing. But it's an opportunity to do something at the moment so that young generations to come, they flourish and you get excited and can leave this earth feeling at peace and content and say, I did something, I did impart the better knowledge, which I didn't know, but now they know.
I love that. I love that. So I need to take advantage of the great expertise that you have, because your portfolio is quite vast. So I'm gonna try by all means to get into the pockets of every single thing that you do, because like you said, the first 7 years of a child are the most important in terms of setting that foundation. And so to get us started, I think maybe let's zone in on the energies in terms of you being the energy healer that you are. What are you finding in parents who are parenting their children when it comes to their relationship with how they view themselves as parents and the relationship they have with their children?
So I love that question. So what I'm finding out, most people who come, even for coaching or energy healing, there is commonality. And it comes back to how they were raised. No matter, you can be 50-year-old, if your foundation was not okay, there'll always be issues. And also, I found that most of them also have got what we call inner wounds. They also have got mother wounds, have got father wounds, which I had all of them as well. So most of the time, as much as we are going to work on each other, there are things that you do as a parent and they are hitting your kids. And your kids regard you as the best person on earth. Because their first 7 years, you are the one who's modeling their life. If you're a family who just cares people, to them it's normal. But when they go to the world, then they get judged. They go like, which planet do you come from? But that is what they learned. And so that is what I'm finding. So your roots are very important. That is why also I've got a class called I'm the King of the Castle, because currently our country is going haywire. Most families are headed by women. And even people who are married to their partners, they get into a marriage and they don't know what to do. They're just repeating the same cycle that they saw their fathers do. And then women are working on themselves. Nowadays, women are attending conferences, they're working on themselves, but men are lagging behind. And men need to know their roots as much as women. You need to be the father, because every parent has got a role. You might be listening to this and you say, no, I'm the father, I'm the mother to my child. If you're a female, you are not. There's that special thing that a man brings to a child, like taking risks, like being their cheerleader. Because if the father is not there, like for me, my father wasn't there, he died when I was 3. And then when I started becoming a teenager, seeing the opposite sex, being attracted to them, I was looking for a father. The first few months will be full of fun, calling each other, but after that, when the hormones, those feel-good hormones are gone, I'm expecting a father from this guy I'm having a romantic relationship with. And that person doesn't know. And then I start acting out, I become quiet. And if he doesn't do things, I just snap and just become quiet. And then it just shows, those were signs when I just learned later, those were signs of having father wasn't present. So my father died, so he wasn't around. And my mother was raised by my grandma, and my mom was there in the house physically. So also mother wound and father wound, the parent, you can be there. But if you're not emotionally present for your kids, that is the wound. So you might say, no, I'm there for my kids. So the question is, are you emotionally present? I remember when I came to Richards Bay, which was in 2008. So as a parent, I had my son who was in 2008. How old was he? I think around 5. So I was repeating, I learned that I was repeating what my mom was doing. So it was going to work, making sure there's food, but not having those communications. And when my son was born, I was staying with my siblings, and I learned through another nanny that my helper was abusing them, force feeding them, making them clean. Now I was just so focused in my job and say, no, my job is to pay the bills, but I never communicate. Then this lady said, Sisi, when are you gonna start talking to the kids? And I was like, why do I speak to them? She says, no, when are you gonna start and asking them, how was your day? What did you love about school? What did you learn? What are the things that happened and that made you uneasy? I'm like, do I have to ask? She says, yes. Do you know that your previous helper was doing this to your kids? And it was threatening them. I lost it. So that was an awakening for me to be involved. Many people say I'm very involved, but if I didn't have that, I would still have repeated the cycle of what my parents were doing, what my mom was doing, not having that communication. Like today, my son is in high school, is doing matrics. So they went to the beach because I live in Richards Bay. So I'm not always on a holiday, guys, if your followers follow me. So the beach is just 10 minutes away from me.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay.
So,
I am a follower. I can attest to the fact that you are an involved parent, because every single moment we get to see the interaction that you have with your children. And maybe that would be a good follow-up question to say, once you learned from it's unfortunate to hear what your children had to go through, but once you learned about what they went through, what steps did you take to make it work, to fix it, to get to a point where you are at? Because from what we see on social media is that it's quite a strong bond that you have with your children.
Thank you so much. So after I learned, I had to acknowledge that is something which is important. I grieved. I went to my social media and like, oh, I wish I can find that lady. So that lady wasn't there. So the day she disappeared, so she was from the Northwest. So you were telling me you are from the Northwest. So she was from the Northwest, and we came with her to KZN, and then within a month she disappeared. So she wasn't gone. I don't know what I was gonna do to her. So I might have had a criminal record.
Yeah, that's true.
So after that, I cried, and then I went to social media, and then one of my friends asked me what happened. Then I inboxed them, and she went like, what? And then one of the things that I had to do, because I'm not a violent person, I had to forgive and then ask myself, what was my contribution? What made that to happen as well? Then I never even wrote to her. I just acknowledged that with the kids, we took them to counseling, and I was also noticing how my kids behave. And when they eat, I don't force feed them. I look at what they are doing as well. So I had to go through a lot of healing and transforming and reading books. So then there were no, in 2008, I didn't know any teen coaches or parental coaches and all that. So it was all reading books and seeing, and then also tapping to myself. So as each person who has gone through the worst, we always say, I wish my parent did this. So I'll ask the younger me and say, how do I parent this? What would my kids want? So that is what I did. And being present and also sharing myself as well and talking. Like even when I was just making the example, like today I was just told we dropped my son at the beach and I said, I enjoy working at home. Now I can drop off my son and see who he hangs out with and when he's going to jogging. So I'm part of that process. My mom went never part of the process. And I just pinch myself. I'm like, this is a privilege that other mothers, they don't even know. So I had to undergo a lot of transformation myself and also making a decision. So after that, I had to stop prioritizing my job as much as I work. So I was making sure that I work until the knocking off time and just being present as well. And if there are meetings, I'll let my leaders, my bosses tell them I need to go through, I need to do this as well. And started having that communication. So it wasn't easy. But now we can just chat and have that fun as well and be crazy. And 2 weeks ago, we went to the beach and I was crazy and dancing. And I was like, oh, today I'm crazy. And then my daughter says, I love my crazy mama. Just be yourself. I'm like, wow.
What would you say? What would you say the difference is in terms of how kids perform when the parent is present and when the parent is not present?
So kids can perform in both scenarios depending on what the child went through. If they went through poverty, they'll still perform despite those challenges. Like me, I grew up in a family, so it's a four-roomed house with the uncles, the aunts, and whatever. So I had to make a vow and say, I'm gonna work hard so that I get out of this. So I just created a front and say, as much as there's drama, my ticket to liberation, to getting better, it's me succeeding. And then I used to go to libraries, go to President Street, I don't know what they call it now in town, go to library, learn, and also look for opportunities to improve my subject. So that is where I also learned about computers, which was at Vista, now they call it UJ's, on the road to Baragwana. Okay. So also kids as well. So also kids who feel supported, they perform at their maximum because they want, because when a child is born, they want you to be there. The only thing that gets cut off is the umbilical cord, but they'll always have that attachment with you. And how you relate to them is how their relationship's gonna be as well, and how they're gonna flourish. So both of them are able to flourish. But when they support, there's minimum stresses. As much as they'll have challenges at school, they'll be able to say, no, I know when I go through the most, my parents are gonna be here. And one needs that. We always need that comfort, that support as well. So everyone yearns, that is what I used to yearn for that support. And then someone planning and say, this is what we're gonna do now. Like with my daughter now, she's going to high school. She's in the process, she's part of the process of choosing the school, all the curriculum. So we go through deep and all that. It has been amazing.
So what does support for your kids look like? What's your daily routine with them? Do you have a routine, or how do you show up for them?
So to me, I wouldn't say we've got a routine, because my daughter, she's in a government school, my son is in a private school, and when it comes to holidays, only this week that they are together. But it's about listening, and then I pick them up daily. So if I can't, we get help. But when I'm picking them up, we talk about how was school. And then I also learn the terminology. My daughter will say she's got a bestie and she's got BFFs.
Okay.
Bestie and BFFs. And then besties is the friends, but there's one BFF. Then I'll ask how was the school and all that. So we even switch off the sound, and I normally drive without music. I even forget that I'm so it's having those conversations, how was school. But in the morning, I don't drop them. Their father drops them, because I normally sleep late. I sleep about 1 or 2 in the morning working, because my brain is very creative. So I just become gloomy as well. But in terms of communication, that is what I support them. But in terms of schooling, they are too independent. I feel like a useless mom when it comes to their exams, because they will tell me, mommy. But that took a lot of training for them to to have their own plans. They'll say, Mommy, and they'll say, what, aren't you writing tomorrow? Says, no, I know I'm writing, Mama. At school, before you pick me up, I studied and this, so I know I've prepared myself. I'm like, oh, really? And then a week later, the results are coming. And so, yeah, the past 2 years I've been feeling useless in terms of their academic because they are sorted. It's only with my son, with the matric, we had to find him tutors as well. And what I learned, I remember when he went to boarding, they say you shouldn't nest the high school, they need to start being independent. So I'll ask him, like when he didn't perform well and the marks are a bit low, I said, how do I support you? What help do you need so that we can improve that as well?
Yeah.
And then also when they've passed, they'll tell me, Mommy, today we're celebrating and then we're having cake or you buy us pizza and all this. So they're very vocal. So which is something that I never grew being vocal, and they challenge us. And sometimes they'll answer me, not in a disrespectful way, but something like the answering is to help you to think, and you go like, who's the coach now? Is it me or you? And then they'll come up with those, and yeah, so yeah, we are present, we are there. And also food time, eating food is so it's so amazing. And I loved what happened. I know people are not happy about the pandemic, but for me, it was a blessing. It made us to bond more. I taught the kids to be self-sufficient because the first 2 weeks I was going haywire, cleaning and whatever. And then I went like, how old are these kids? They can start cooking, they can start cleaning. So I created a timetable because I'm an engineer, I need something in order. So when my daughter cooks, her dad helps her. When my son was cooking, I would help him. Like today, when we woke up, my son made a lovely breakfast for everyone. And I don't eat pork. The pork looks so amazing. So we had a lovely, so I don't have to worry about them burning. So it helps them.
Because you don't eat it.
Yes, I only had bread and eggs and I could just smell it. I was like, I should have bought chicken sausages for myself. But it was lovely.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you touched a little bit on results. Let's talk about results. What's your relationship with your children's results? Do you attach your results to your kids, to how they are, or what's the situation there?
So I had to learn not to do that because learning and seeing kids like now with matric is a critical year for him. So some kids they commit suicide because they didn't, and having gone to varsity and studied other courses, this is just a foundation. That is what I learned. And at times I always share like, the subject that they are struggling with. I had to create a target and say, if I get this, I know I'll pass and just get over it. So it's also when they come to exams, I'll ask them if they didn't perform, what was your target for your exam? And then what needs to change? Because even with the tutoring, we were not happy with one of the subjects. I said, I'm going to organize tutors so that they can help you. And then you need to give us what is your target, and then we work towards that. So I had to learn, and also seeing when I went to high school and tertiary, there were students who were high flyers, but in their lives at the moment, it's not like that. So one shouldn't attach marks to that. You need to look holistically to the child and look at other things that you can enhance, like sports, whilst they are still getting, but they need to have to pass at least the minimum so that they don't repeat the subjects. Then you can enhance, have other extramural activities. So that took a lot of convincing, because with me, it was saying, I need to pass maths and science, I need to get 80s and whatever. So one had to check and say, and now I wasn't a sport person. I don't know how to run, I don't know how to do other things. So it was to say, okay, how I harness other things so that the kids, so looking at all the things holistically into their life, but it wasn't easy.
Okay. Would you mind taking us through an example, for instance, because I think this is one issue that a lot of parents struggle with. Not having to attach the marks to the kids, and forgetting also at the same time looking or looking for help for instance from tutors, maybe for some can afford them, but they aren't able to do the helping themselves, like they're unable to assist themselves, but they actually can't afford to look for assistance. What would you say to a parent like that? Can they go to the teachers at school? Can they organize something? What can you say to a teacher who doesn't have enough funds and they themselves can't assist?
So in terms of that, what one can do is also look at the kids who are doing well. So that is peer-to-peer educating. Because my find that the teacher, the child can't listen, can't hear, and the teacher is not expressing, and there's someone who's doing well in class who's also going the extra mile. So one can look into peer-to-peer. I used it most of the time. And then if you are able to afford data or wherever you are, you can go to YouTube and then you Google the subject and find different tutors, because there are so many which are just easily available. You don't even have to pay a monthly fee. And then you look at those subjects and then you also ask around. So that is something that I had. So your child not doing well, it shouldn't be something that you hold within. You need to ask for help. So me being a firstborn, it took a lot of unlearning to surrender and say, I'm gonna ask for help. And I realized that was a limiting belief. Not asking for help is a limiting belief. So we saw he wasn't doing well in IT and it's something that he likes. So we're trying to figure out what is really happening. I asked him, is it the teacher? He says, no, the teacher doesn't teach well. And then I started asking for tutors around. So his tutors, we are with the tutoring company. So as much as I'm in Richards Bay, he's being taught by people in Gauteng. That is the power of technology. And then also at the moment with him, because it's this last month, we've got, even in my office, we say, this one, there are 4 people who are going to help him with him getting on top of the tutors so that he does well, because someone's going to help him with accounting, mathematics, IT and business studies, just that support as well, and the communication. And in the house, we've got people who've done accounting, and we forgot that we've got people who've done accounting. And then when we said, this is the last month, we need to see how we support him. So he needs to do it kicking and screaming. And on Monday, it was and another thing, which I just need to share, as much as it's not about the subject, he was struggling with getting his learners. He went twice and he didn't do well. And I could see this guy is dying and his self-esteem is going down. And I said to my sister, let's do something, let's help him and let's cheer him up, let's ask him where he needs help. And then we helped him, and he listened as well, because I even told him the whole week he didn't want to go. And I said, this is your life. Next year you'll be independent, making decisions. So start making them and then I'll support you. How much is required for you to go for the, and then he went to register. And then when he came back, our child was just perfect. Mommy, I passed. And we celebrated. So that is quite important. So get help, even ask around. I know you might say people will judge you, but they're amazing people, because everyone has got talents and gifts. They're very clever people who are not even teachers, but it's students who are within your communities who can help you as well. So never do this life alone. Ask for help as well. And also in terms of marks, maybe if it's 45, you need intervention. As much as the pass mark currently in the country says it's 40, university is not like that. University is not like that. So you need to aim above 50 and above as well, and say, this is what we can do, and this is what, and you look at those areas of weaknesses that you're not good at. And one of them is maths. Maths, you have to practice it daily. Maths, you don't just read and know, you have to practice it. And there are so many question papers in the world. And with us having access, because when I studied and I did my matric in 1994, we didn't have access to all this. So you had to find question papers. But help is readily available. So, but you need to be present, you need to communicate. And also, my friend, the child is going through challenges at school. So with bullying and everything, those are the things that might also impact the child results besides. So that is why you have to look holistically and start looking at the signs, how they are. For me, I'm very observant. And I've got the natural gift of say being an energy leader. I can feel that person, whether they are saying it or not. I can feel how they are feeling as well. Then I change my tone, even though I wanted to reprimand. I just have to channel myself and see so that they're in the better state of reprimanding. But there is help already. Level. Look at your child holistically. And if you're saying now you haven't have time to have that relationship, start now. Look at the movies or just say, let's take a walk. Take a walk. Even if you're going to be quiet, just walk together. Do it for the whole week, even if you're just going to be quiet. Then one day you just see a car or a cow. I had a client who says when she was walking, I gave her a task of saying every day for the next 30 days, she needs to exercise, leave a phone and be out there, not physically, but she needs to walk. And she said she saw a cow giving feeding its baby and there was traffic, and it was like, so you need to see that, and it helps you just to distress when you connect with nature. I love nature, so do that and just walk, and then you just start laughing and you start seeing, and you just leave the gadgets because the gadgets distract us. Even myself nowadays when I walk, I don't take my phone. I met other ladies yesterday, they wanted that. I can't help you, I left my phone at home because I want to be fully present now and just distress. So do that, play games, get cards and just play around. It doesn't have to be very expensive. If you've got a garden, or take plastics. You see, we used to eat ice. I don't know if people can relate. The ice, take the Oros, or without the Oros, just fill it with water and just say, kids, let's go outside, and you start pouring them with those plastics, and then they look, Mommy's crazy, and then they'll follow. Just fill it up and start giving. And now it's hot. I heard Gauteng is very hot. This is
Yes. Oh my gosh.
This is a great opportunity just to interact, just to hear your kids scream and just having fun. But you need to connect with them. You need to create those lasting relationships with them. So buying them gadgets, yes, they need to, but you need to create that emotional. And then when they're emotional, they are stable. Everything becomes better besides all the challenges that they'll encounter in life.
So as an energy healer, and I suppose leading us almost to the closing of the conversation, you sound like you've got kids who cooperate with you or who work well with you in terms of finding a way to move forward or working towards a certain goal. What would you say to a parent who has difficulties with their children and they want their children to cooperate more? How can they go about finding that way?
So the first question that I'll have, because we like complaining about our outside world, I'll ask you, how is it? Because whatever you see outside is the chaos that is inside.
Right.
So you need to fix your energy. You need to fix your aura. And that is why at times for me, when I'm not in a good space, I just move away. So you need to heal yourself. Because at times what we do as parents, if we didn't do well and we're seeing the Jones and everyone, we don't know that my child needs to be a doctor, we start imposing our dreams on our kids. And one thing that I know is that a child that you have, it's a gift that you've been given by your creator. You need to look beyond that is a child. You need to look at their talents. Daily they are showing you, but when you're clouded with your expectations of how you were raised and how they should be, you really forget about that. So it's important that you address that. So I say work on yourself, get help, speak to coaches who work with kids so that they can help. As much as they're working with kids, they're gonna work on you. And you start, because when you start healing yourself, other things that are chaos, they start diminishing and people went like, what really happened? And you realize that you were the problem. So you really need to heal yourself. Then you realize your surroundings get much better because we are all energy. We are made of neurons, we're made of atoms. ourselves and the tree, we are the same. The only thing that is different between us and the tree and animals is just the molecular structure, but we are all energy. We've got atoms, we've got everything, and we relate. And each time daily we are creating our reality. So you might say, oh, these kids are always there. I'm so sick and tired of them. So you're just saying that, you're sending that energy to them and say, continue bothering me, because whatever you spend time on, whatever you think about, most of the time you're manifesting every time. If you're manifesting happiness, you're gonna be full of happiness. You'll have situations, you'll have people who are happy. But if it's sadness, you're just gonna attract more of it. So it's all about the law of attraction. And our thought creates our future. They create our behaviors, they create our habits as well. So it comes back to you. I know that one doesn't, it's a hard pill to swallow, but it all comes back to you. What are you manifesting at this second, every moment of your day? And you realize when you start changing, you become peaceful. Things start, it won't happen just like that, but it will gradually change.
I think my last question will be, or my second last, I don't know. Let's see how much time we have. What do you enjoy most?
2 minutes.
What do you enjoy most about being a parent?
For me, is to learn. My kids are their gift. They've taught me to love. My son taught me to hug, which is something I never learned. So I learned to hug at the age of 26 because I never received hug. Like when I come back from work, he'll be standing waiting for me with open arms. The first time I'm like, what is wrong with this kid? Why is it? All he wanted was just to hug me. And then it's to hug and just being there as well. And the love, the unconditional love, like I'll do anything for my kids. I just go beyond. And then my daughter taught me how to question and look at life. She'll come up with this abstract question, and she has taught me how to love myself. And she's unapologetic about that. And she's unapologetic about her demands, and everyone just dance to a tune. I always say in my next lifetime, I want to be Tandy and myself. So a mixture of myself and Tandy, but I'm learning so much. And it's an opportunity just to be there, to comfort and to provide direction to the kids and to love them, and just being there and realize the gift, because there are people who don't have kids, and just being in the moment and learning, because when a child comes to you, depending on what they are there to give you life lessons and soul lessons. So you need to look beyond being the parent and see, what does this child, what are the things I need to unlearn, learn, and what transformation do I have? And also celebrating and doing things like soccer. I'm not a soccer fan, but we watch it. And my daughter, she's a scientist, and just being there. And yeah, it's amazing.
I love it. I think this is a conversation that is worth watching over and over and over again. I appreciate your time. If time allows, and if I ask nicely again, maybe we can continue the conversation further, but I appreciate your time. I think this is where we will end it for now. I truly hope you have a great relationship further with your children.